I want you to think back with me 10 years ago and some of the things that were going on that people were calling conspiracy theories. 10 years ago, most of us didn't have a care in the world. Most of us were planning our futures. But now, a select few of us have been woken up, and we're seeing prophecy unfolding right before our eyes. The problem is, the rest of the world doesn't. Many people confuse the time of Jacob's trouble with tribulation, not realizing that the 7 good years have already happened, and the 7 bad years are right at our doorstep. Many believers woke up in 2017, and some before that. But if you're just now waking up, now is the time to listen. Matthew 24:3, and he sat upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Yeshua's disciples walked the earth with him. They watched him do miracles, and yet they lacked the faith to show up to the tomb on the very day that he was resurrected. Can you imagine the delusion that we are currently living in, and how difficult it is going to be to believe that the things that are happening are actually taking place? For the disciples, their journey didn't actually begin until after the Messiah ascended back into heaven. However, everything that they witnessed was a strong enough conviction for them to die for what they witnessed and what they believed. The real question is, are we willing to do the same? Matthew 24:4-5, and Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and shall deceive many. Are we not already deceived enough as it is already? How much proof do we need before a conspiracy no longer remains a conspiracy? We all know Satan's motto, as above, so below. Ephesians 2:1-10. And you hath he quickened, who were dead in trespasses and sins, wherein in times past you walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince and power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience, among whom also we have all had our conversations in times past, in the lust of our flesh, fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature the children of wrath, even as others. But Yahweh, rich in his mercy, for his great love, wherewith he has loved us, even when we were dead in sins, hath he quickened us together with Yeshua. By grace you are saved, and hath raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places in our Messiah Yeshua, that in the ages to come he might show his exceeding riches of his grace and his kindness towards us through our Messiah Yeshua. For by grace you are saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is a free gift of Yahweh, and not of works, lest any man should boast. For we all are his workmanship, created in Messiah Yeshua, unto good works, which Yahweh hath before ordained that we should walk in them. For all of you preterists out there that keep trying to convince the world that the Messiah has already returned, could you please explain to Paul in verse 7 why he's talking about ages to come? We know that the Messiah is yet to return, and when he does return, he's going to straighten out all of these false doctrines. Paul made it clear in verse 9 that it wasn't the works of man-made laws and traditions that we should boast, but by the very things that Yahweh had ordained before the foundations of the earth, that we should walk in those good works. and the punishment for not walking in obedience to the laws that were given in Deuteronomy chapter 28, well, we're all witnessing those things taking place everywhere in every nation. Mystery Babylon is everywhere. It's not one place. It's not an isolated location. It is a shifting authority that goes back and forth from nation to nation. Let's take a closer look at Revelation chapter 6 and Matthew chapter 24 so that we can understand the birth pains that are currently taking place and why. Revelation 6:2, and I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Pay very close attention as we jump from Revelation chapter 6 back to Matthew chapter 24, because the Messiah is telling the same exact story. Understand one thing: this white horse that has ridden out to conquer has already started setting up the beast system. There is no left, there is no right. There's only good and evil. And if we don't open our eyes soon, there won't be time left to repent. Matthew 24:6, and you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see that you are not troubled. All of these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. The Messiah made it very clear that unless the days were shortened for the elect's sake, that if it were possible, even the very elect would be deceived by this delusion. And the delusion is getting stronger and stronger as the days go by. Revelation 6:4, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. What we are currently witnessing is not by chance, and everything the Messiah said in Matthew 24, and everything that was spoken in Revelation chapter 6 is currently happening. Matthew 24:7-8, for nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All of these are but the beginning of birth pains. With birth pains come contractions, times of pain, and then times of reprieve from the pain, to prepare to give birth to a child. Make no mistake about it, this is in fact a seed war that started back in Genesis chapter 3 and Genesis chapter 6 and on throughout the entire Bible. Genesis 3:15-18, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception, and in sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. Thorns and thistles shall bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field. Many people seem to think that there's not a seed war going on here between good and evil, because they don't fully understand prophetical language. Yahweh had the prophets write in parables, the Messiah spoke in parables, and we even see the Messiah praying to the Father, but the Father has hidden this knowledge from the wise and given it to babes. John 19:1-3. Then Pilate therefore took Yeshua and scourged him. And the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put him in a purple robe, and said, Hail, King of the Jews! And they smote him with their hands. Revelation 17:1-6. And there came unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and he talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore, that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of our Messiah. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Our Father warned us to come out of this great whore, which is the modern-day church. She's mixed herself with many believers, and she is drunken with the blood of the saints. Why? Because we don't study our scripture. The thorns and thistles that Yahweh was talking about in Genesis chapter 3 with Adam is the very reason why they used a crown of thorns on our Messiah's head, and why they put a purple robe on him and mocked him and beat him beyond recognition. Everything, and I mean absolutely everything, in Scripture goes way deeper than we can possibly comprehend. But we do have a Father in heaven that wants to reveal all of these mysteries to us so that we can be victorious in this life and the life after. Numbers 33:55 through 56. But if you will not drive out the inhabitants of the land before you, then it shall come to pass that those which you have let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes and thorns in your sides, and shall vex you in the land wherein you dwell. Moreover, it shall come to pass that I shall do unto you as I thought to do unto them. Most believers don't even know how to defend their faith to an atheist when an atheist says, "Why would I serve your God? He's merciless. He kills people. He does all of these terrible things." Yet they had no idea that Yahweh was the very Elohim protecting us from the serpent's seed. Question: who were the inhabitants of this land that Yahweh was commanding his people to drive out? And if they didn't, that he was thinking to do to them what he was going to do to their adversaries. So many people are confused as to why Yahweh flooded the earth to begin with, not realizing he was protecting us from the fallen who rebelled and came down and mixed seed with the daughters of men. Ezekiel 2:5 through 7. And whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a rebellious house, yet shall they know that there had been a prophet among them. And thou, son of man, be not afraid of them, neither be afraid of their words, though briars and thorns be with thee, and thou doest well among scorpions. Be not afraid of their words, nor be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. And thou shalt speak my words unto them, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, for they are a most rebellious house. The evidence for the fallen is all around us. It's in the music industry, it's in Hollywood, it's in the scriptures, it's even in our history. Yet many of it has been hidden away from us, because Satan doesn't want you to know the truth. Jeremiah 4:2 through 4. And thou shalt swear, as Yahweh liveth, in truth, in judgment, and in righteousness. And the nations shall bless themselves in him, and in him shall they glory. For thus saith Yahweh to the men of Judah and Jerusalem, break up your fallow ground, and sow not among the thorns. Circumcise yourself to Yahweh, and take away the foreskins of your heart, you men of Judah, and you inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn, that none can quench it, because of your evil doings. The Messiah's teachings were more than just words. They were the very will of his Father, and he never spoke unless he was commanded to speak by his Father. but he made it very clear what he was talking about. And only those who are his will have the ears to hear and eyes to see and truly understand the revelation of the mysteries that were hidden away in him. Matthew 13:7. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. This is a war of many nations that all started with 2 seeds. Joshua 23:11 through 14. Take heed therefore unto yourselves, that ye love Yahweh your Elohim. Else, if you do any wise go back and cleave unto the remnant of these nations, even these that remain among you, and you shall make marriages with them, and go in unto them, and they to you, know for a certainty that Yahweh your Elohim will no more drive out any of these nations from before you, but they shall be snares and traps unto you, and scourges in your side, and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off this good land which Yahweh your Elohim hath given you. And behold, this day I am going the way of all the earth, and you know in all of your hearts and in all of your souls that not one thing hath failed of all the good things which Yahweh your Elohim spake concerning you, and all come to pass unto you, and not one thing hath failed thereof. Isaiah 33:11 through 13. You shall conceive chaff, you shall bring forth stubble, your breath as fire shall devour you, and the people shall be as the burnings of lime. As thorns cut up shall they be burned in the fire. Hear, ye that are far off, what I have done, and ye that are near, acknowledge my might. The whole Bible is about a war of nations, united nations to be exact. Don't believe me? How else is Satan going to build his army to try to fight our Messiah upon his return with the 144,000? Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now tell me, what does it mean when Yahweh says he's going to place enmity between Satan's seed and Eve's seed? And why did she have 2 children following what took place in Genesis chapter 3? We know that covenants still stand. When Yahweh makes a promise, he doesn't back out of that promise. Hence, the reason why we still see a rainbow to this day, because he promised that he would never flood the earth again. The next time Yahweh destroys the earth, it'll be by fire, but not by the type of fire that most believers think. It'll be the 144,000 and those that are left of Jacob, the remnant, the real church. Now, let's finish comparing Matthew 24 to Revelation chapter 6. And as we're comparing, make sure that you're paying close attention to the actions of each horse that is sent out, and the things that the Messiah says will take place during that time. Revelation 6:5 through 6. And when he opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd creature say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 creatures say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine. Matthew 24:9 through 11. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. 2 Esdras 6:17 through 28. When I heard this, I got to my feet and listened. A voice was speaking, and it was the sound like the sound of mighty waters. It said, The days are coming when I draw near to visit the inhabitations of the earth. And when I require from the doers of iniquity and the penalty of their iniquity, And when the humiliation of Zion is complete, when the seal is placed upon the age that is about to pass away, then will I show thee signs. The books shall be opened before the face of the firmament, and shall show all my judgment together. Children a year old shall speak with their voices, and pregnant women shall give birth to premature children at 3 to 4 months. And these shall live and leap. Sown places shall suddenly appear unsown, and full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. The trumpet shall sound aloud, and when they hear it, they shall suddenly be terrified. At that time, friends shall make war on friends like enemies. The earth and those who inhabit it shall be terrified, and the springs and fountains shall stand still, so that for 3 hours they shall not flow. And it shall be that whoever remains after all that I have foretold you shall be saved, and shall see the salvation and the end of my world. And they shall see those who were taken up from their birth, who have not tasted death. And the heart of the earth's inhabitants shall be changed and converted to a different spirit. For evil shall be blotted out, and deceits shall be quenched. Faithfulness shall flourish, and corruption shall be overcome. And the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be revealed. Matthew 10:16 through 23. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to their councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And you shall be brought forth before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought of how you will speak or what you shall speak, for it shall be given to you in that same hour what you shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth till the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in the city, flee ye into another. For verily I say unto you, you shall have not gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. Matthew 10:33 through 39. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to send peace on the earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man at variance against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my name's sake shall find it. As you go back and study Matthew chapter 24 and Revelation chapter 6 and all of the prophets, you will start to see that the very things that are taking place around us are all being fulfilled by all the prophets that came before us. Revelation 6:8. And I looked, and behold a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over a fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Matthew 24, aligned with Revelation chapter 6, is painting a story for us, not of physical horses that are going to come down, but of powers and principalities that are just the beginning of tribulation. Revelation 6:9. And when he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh and the testimony which they held. Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now, as many are aware, This is the dream that Joseph had in Genesis chapter 37. And the dream did in fact already take place. But, as we know, prophecy has a dual fulfillment, and it will also take place in the stars. Genesis 37, 3 through 11. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all of his children, because he was the son of his old age, and made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all of his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were building sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And when his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dream, and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told his father and his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. This constellation is called Virgo, and although astrologers have their own opinions on galaxies and planets, we know better because of what Scripture says. But this is the woman, clothed with the sun, with the moon at her feet, and a crown of 12 stars. Now the sun and the moon represent Joseph's mother and father, and the 12 stars, the 12 tribes. Genesis 41, 38 through 44. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, Can we find such a one as this is, a man in whom the Spirit of Yahweh is? And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, Forsomuch as Yahweh hath showed thee all of this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all of my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than thou. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, See, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand, and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride on the second chariot which he had. And they cried before him, bowed the knee, and they made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. This was a foreshadowing of our Messiah and his position with our Father Yahweh, how he was granted all authority in heaven and on earth in his Father's name, and only in the throne is his Father greater than he. Hebrews 1, 1 through 4. Yahweh, who at sundry times in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets, hath in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the worlds, who being the brightness of his glory in the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, and sat down at the right hand of majesty on high, being made so much better than the angels, as he hath by inheritance obtained a more excellent name than they. Yeshua, our Messiah, was anointed with the oil of gladness above his fellows. And the story of Joseph, as I said prior, is a foreshadowing of the same authority that was given to the Messiah, in the same way that authority was given to Moses. Only this man, the Son of the Most High, the first brought forth, would come down and complete his mission, sinless, blameless, so that he could stand in for our transgressions. Hebrews 1:8 through 9. But unto the Son he saith, Thy throne, O Elohim, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is a scepter of thy kingdom. Thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity. Therefore, Elohim, even thy Elohim, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. Christians love to use this verse to say that God was calling himself God, and somehow he anointed himself. But if we study, we can learn what Elohim actually means. Not only that, it's important to understand that this book was written by Hebrews and translated on purpose in the Greek to cause confusion by none other than our adversary, the devil. If we're not willing to study to show ourselves approved, then what's the point of studying at all? Shouldn't you be studying and in all of your getting understanding? Philippians 2:10 through 11. That at that name of Yeshua every knee should bow, of things in heaven and things in earth and things under the earth, and that every tongue should confess that Yeshua, Messiah, is Master, to the glory of Yahweh the Father. So many believers are saying that they follow the Messiah, but when you ask someone if they keep the Sabbath day, or do they keep the laws and commandments, they look at you sideways, because churches nowadays are not teaching truth. They're brainwashing people, and it's being done by Satan. And the Messiah warned us that one would come in his own name, and that we would receive him, while we rejected the very Messiah that came to save us. Now that we've built a little bit of a foundation for Revelation chapter 6 and Matthew chapter 24, let's get into Revelation chapter 12 and the mystery of the woman clothed with the sun, with the moon at her feet, and the crown of 12 stars. Revelation 12 verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. Now many believe that this mystery took place in 2017. However, there are certain things that weren't aligning in the prophecies in 2017. But we just saw this take place again September 23rd of this year, 2023. And it just so happens that there was a green comet that was named the Child. Now, oddly enough, the child in the Strong's Concordance means second. But more oddly than that, it also refers to a man named Secundus who traveled with Paul and was from the church of Thessalonica. But wait, there's more. Also, in 2 Thessalonians, we see this is where Paul starts to address the returning of our Messiah and the gathering of the elect ones. Not to mention, this green comet or asteroid just traveled right through the birth canal of Virgo, the woman who's in the stars. And this asteroid was founded by a man named Jack B. Childs, an American astrologer, all the way back in 1989. Genesis 1:14 through 15. And Yahweh said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. Now this is the constellation Leo, which represents the 12 stars or the 12 tribes of Israel, which just so happens to be positioned right above the woman's head who's in travail, ready to give birth to a man-child. Revelation 12, verse 2. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth, and pained to be delivered. Matthew 24:8. All of these are but the beginning of birth pains. Now I'm a firm believer of everything that's written in prophecy, from Enoch all the way to Noah, to Daniel, and even Elijah, David, and especially our Messiah Yeshua. So why are we focusing on Revelation chapter 12? Because it's the birth of the remnant of Jacob, as spoken about by every single prophet in Scripture. Isaiah 26:16 through 18. Yahweh, in trouble they have visited thee, They poured out prayer when thy chastising was upon them. Like a woman with child that draweth near the time of her delivery, is in pain, and crieth out in her pains, so have we been in thy sight, O Yahweh. We have been with child, we have been in pain, we have been as it were brought forth wind. We have not wrought any deliverance in the earth, neither have the inhabitants of the world fallen. 2 Esdras 16:36-40. Listen now to these things and understand them, you who are servants of Yahweh. This is the word of Yahweh. Receive it and do not disbelieve what Yahweh says. The calamities draw near and are not delayed, just as a pregnant woman is 9 months when the time of her delivery draws near, has great pains around her womb for 2 or 3 hours beforehand. But when the child comes forth from the womb, there will be not a moment's delay, so the calamities will not delay in coming upon the earth, and the world will groan, and pains will seize it on every side. Isaiah 42:13-14. Yahweh shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy like a man of war. He shall cry, yea, roar, he shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time holden my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. Do you truly want to understand prophetical speech? Then pay close attention to the scriptures as we move along. 1 Thessalonians 4:14-18. For if we believe that Yeshua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yeshua will Yahweh bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of Yahweh, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of our Master shall not prevent them which are asleep. For Yeshua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trump of Yahweh, and the dead in Yeshua shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Master. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. Isaiah 66:6-9. A voice from the city, a voice from the temple, a voice from Yahweh, that rendereth recompense to his enemies. Before she travailed, she brought forth. Before her, pain came. She was delivered a man-child. Who hath heard of such a thing? Who has seen such things? Shall the earth be made to bring forth in one day, or shall a nation be born at once? For as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Shall I bring to birth, and not cause to bring forth, saith Yahweh? Shall I cause to bring forth, and shut the womb, saith thy Elohim? Zechariah 3:8-10. Hear now, O Joshua the high priest, thou and thy fellows that sit before thee, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant the branch. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the engraving thereof, saith Yahweh of hosts, and I will remove the iniquity of the land in one day. In that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, shall ye call every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree. John 15:1-6. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he is taken away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that he might bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, and ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. If a man abideth not in me, he is cast forth as a branch, and is withered, and men gather them, and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. Jeremiah 4:31. For I have heard a voice as a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child. The voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is wearied because of murderers. Jeremiah 4:6-7. Set up the standard toward Zion. Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and great destruction. The lion is come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to take thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without inhabitant. Isaiah 1:5-9. Why should you be stricken any more? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart is faint. From the sole even to the foot, even to the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, and your land, strangers devour it in your presence, and it is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. And the daughter of Zion is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as lodged in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except Yahweh of hosts have left us a very small remnant. We should have been as Sodom, and we should have been as of Gomorrah. Isaiah 13:6-9. Howl ye, for the day of Yahweh is at hand. It shall come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed at one another, and their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of Yahweh cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. So many believers today think it's okay to celebrate pagan holidays. They don't see anything wrong with it, even though their child is crying, sitting on the lap of a stranger. And our Father made it very clear that we are to keep his commandments, and we wonder why he's angry. Isaiah 1:13-15. Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. Your new moons and your appointed feast my soul hateth. They are a trouble unto me, and I am weary to bear them. And when you spread forth your hands, I will hide my eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear you. Your hands are full of blood. How does the church not see that leaving offerings unto idols is wrong, especially when it involves our children? Jeremiah 10:1-6. Hear ye the word of Yahweh that speaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and hammers, that they move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs to be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also in them is it to do good. For as so much as there is none like unto thee, O Yahweh, thou art great, and thy name is great in might. I know, Christians, you're going to make an excuse about how Jeremiah isn't talking about pagan worship and Christmas trees. Is it not cut down out of the forest with a man with an axe? Do you not deck it with gold and silver? And even worse, do you not know when your Messiah's birth date actually is? Newsflash, the Messiah was not born on December 25th. And when you bow down to that Christmas tree, well, you're doing pagan worship, whether you like it or not. Hosea 2:10-12. And now will I discover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of my hand. I will also cause her mirth to cease, and her feast days, and her new moons, and her Sabbaths, and her solemn feasts. And I will destroy her vine and her fig trees, whereof she said, these are my rewards that my lovers have given me. I will make them a forest, and the beast of the field shall eat them. I know the church has been brainwashing a lot of believers and thinking that these things are okay, but I can assure you, Yahweh is not happy. These new moons and feasts are not Yahweh's, and we're still worshiping fallen entities. It's time to wake up, Israel. Jeremiah 44:10-16. They are not humbled, even unto this day. neither have they feared, nor walked in my law, nor in my statutes that I have set before you and your fathers. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, Behold, I will set my face against you for evil, and cut off all of Judah. And I will take the remnant of Judah, that I have set their faces to go into the land of Egypt, to sojourn there, and they shall be consumed and fall in the land of Egypt. They shall even be consumed by the sword and by the famine, and they shall die from the least even unto the greatest, by the sword and by the famine. And they shall be an extraction and astonishment, and a curse and a reproach. For I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have punished Jerusalem, by the sword, and by the famine, and by the pestilence, so that none of the remnant of Judah which are gone into the land to sojourn there shall escape or remain, that they should return into the land of Judah, to which they have desired to return to dwell there. For none shall return, but such as shall escape. Then all the men which knew their wives had burned incense unto other gods, and to all the women that stood at a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, in Pathros answered Jeremiah, saying, As for the word that thou hast spoken unto us from Yahweh, we will not hearken unto thee. But we certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers, and our kings and our princes in the cities of Judah, and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then we had plenty of victuals, and we were well, and we saw no evil. But since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things, and have been consumed by the sword and by the famine. And when we burned incense to the Queen of Heaven, and poured out drink offerings unto her, did we make her cakes to worship her, and pour out offerings unto her without our men? We've allowed churches to teach us that Easter is somehow related to the Bible, when it's not. Easter's origins come from Ishtar, the Queen of Heaven, whom we just read about. I was completely unaware that bunnies laid eggs, but I'm sure as most of you believers out there that are still celebrating this holiday have no idea that it has nothing to do with dunking eggs in dyed water, and everything to do with dunking eggs in the blood of sacrificed children, which is no different than the origins of Christmas and terrifying children as well. Jeremiah 7:18-20. The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough, to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger, saith Yahweh? Do they not provoke themselves to confusion of their own faces? Therefore, saith Yahweh, Behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man, and upon beast, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground. It shall burn, and it shall not be quenched. Your hot crossed buns, and your Easter eggs, and your stockings, and your Christmas trees are all going to lead up to your own destruction, because we're warned throughout the prophets by Yahweh and our Messiah and all of the apostles that none of these things were ever acceptable by our Father Yahweh. Jeremiah 44:25. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, saying, Ye and your wives have both spoken with your mouths, and fulfilled with your hands, saying, We surely perform our vows that we have vowed, to burn incense to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto her. Ye will surely accomplish your vows, and surely perform your vows. 1 Thessalonians 5:2-3. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Master so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So, Revelation 12, the woman clothed with the sun and the moon at her feet, and a crown of 12 stars above her head. Not to mention Libra, which we haven't gotten to yet, but all of that will play out as we get through Revelation 12. It'll start to make more and more sense. But in Revelation 6, we read about a horse that was riding out with a pair of balances in his hand. Well, let me introduce to you Libra. This is our Father's story playing out in his firmament with his stars. The stars were not invented by astrologers, they were created by Yahweh. Revelation 12 verse 3. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. Now, if you've studied the book of Daniel, then you'll understand what this dragon represents. And again, as I told you before, this is a war of nations. We have entered into the final generation, and we see this and read about it with Nebuchadnezzar's statue and the stone that was not cut by human hands that smashes the 10-toed kingdom. That'll have to be for another video, but for now, we're going to focus on the dragon. Daniel chapter 7, 19 through 27. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured and broke into pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet, and of the 10 horns that were on his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of the horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down, and break it into pieces. And the 10 horns of the kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand, for a time, and a dividing of times. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion, to consume and destroy it until the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. The visions that Daniel was given were not about actual beast rising up out of the sea. They represent nations of people. As I said before, this is a seed war. 2 Esdras 12:10 through 28. He said to me, this is the interpretation of the vision that you have seen. The eagle that you saw coming up from the sea is the 4th kingdom, that appeared in the vision to your brother Daniel. But it was not explained to him as I now explain to you, or has it been explained. These days are coming when this king shall rise on the earth, and it shall be more terrifying than all the kingdoms that you have seen before it. And the 12 kings shall reign in it, one after another. But the second that is to reign shall hold sway for longer time than any of the other 12. This is the interpretation of the 12 wings that you saw. As for your hearing, the voice that spoke coming from the eagle's heads, from the midst of the body, this is the interpretation. In the midst of the time of the kingdom great struggle shall arise, and it shall be in danger of falling. Nevertheless, it shall not fall then, but it shall reign in its former power. As for your seeing 8 little wings clinging to its wings, this is the interpretation. 8 kings shall arise, in whose times shall be short, and their years swift. 2 of them shall perish in the middle of his time that draws near, and 4 shall be kept for the time when its time approaches, but 2 shall be kept until the end. As for your seeing the 3 heads at rest, this is the interpretation. In the last days the Most High will raise up 3 kings, and they shall renew many things in it, and shall rule the earth and the inhabitants more oppressively than those who were before them. Therefore they are called the heads of the eagle, because it is they that shall sum up the wickedness and perform his last actions. As for your seeing that the large head disappeared, one of the kings shall die in his bed in agonies. But as for the 2 who remain, the sword shall devour them. For the sword of one shall devour him who was with him, but he shall fall by the sword in the last days. So we've covered the woman clothed with the sun and the moon at her feet, but we haven't covered Draco, the dragon, which also stands at the woman's feet, ready to devour her child as soon as she is delivered. Revelation 20:1-2. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on that dragon, that old serpent which is called the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Everything in prophecy has deep significance, and Yahweh is telling us a story, literally painting us a picture in the firmament. Luke 10:18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Revelation 12:7-8. And there was a war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels, and prevailed not, neither was there a place found any more in heaven. Once Satan can no longer accuse the brethren, and he's cast down to the earth, the bottomless pit will be opened, and then evil spirits will exit that pit and will enter into certain nations of people. Hence, Yahweh's northern army, or better known as the Locust Army. 2 Thessalonians 2:1-4. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Master Yeshua, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as that day of Yeshua is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there be a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Yahweh, or that is worshipped, so that he, as Yahweh, sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh. If you're waiting on a rapture, you're wasting your time. You need to study the prophets. And no, I'm not picking on Christians. I used to be one. I'm trying to help wake you up. Isaiah 14:12-15. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thy own heart, I will ascend into heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh, and I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, and I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Yet you shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Revelation 9:1-2. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the pit. Revelation 12:4. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and he did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it were born. Did you catch that? A third part of the stars were cast down by this dragon, and this dragon is ready to devour the woman's child as soon as she delivers. We know all throughout Scripture that the stars represent angels. The Messiah calls himself the bright and morning star. The scripture that we just read about Lucifer is also a star that falls. So, what are the stars? No, they're not big balls of gas burning in the firmament. They're angels. If you haven't already, I would highly suggest that you go to my page, click on documentaries and short films, and you will see a video called The Serpent's Seed, or The Fall. This video will explain this seed war in great detail and give you better insight as to what's happening all around us. Revelation 12:5. And she brought forth a man-child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to Yahweh and to his throne. This child is not speaking about the Messiah. This is talking about the remnant of Jacob, and out of that remnant will come 144,000, who will be caught up to the throne of Yahweh mid-tribulation. Isaiah 49:14-18. But Zion said, Yahweh hath forsaken me, and my master hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet I will not forget thee. Behold, I have graven thee upon the palms of my hands. Thy walls are continually before me. Thy children shall make haste, thy destroyers, and they that make thee waste shall go forth of thee. Lift up thy eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together, and come to thee. As I liveth, saith Yahweh, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all as an ornament, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. Micah 4:7-13. And I will make her that halted a remnant, and her that was cast off a strong nation. And Yahweh shall reign over them in Mount Zion from henceforth forever and ever. And thou, O tower of the flock, be strong, and hold of the daughter of Zion. Unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion. The kingdom shall come to the daughter of Jerusalem. Now, why doest thou cry aloud? Is there no king in thee? Is thou counselor perished? For pangs have taken thee as a woman in travail. Be in pain, and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. For thou shalt go forth out of the city, and thou shalt dwell in the field, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. There thou shalt be delivered. There Yahweh shall redeem thee from the hand of thy enemies. Now also many nations are gathered against thee, that say, Let her be defiled, and let her look upon Zion. But they know not the thoughts of Yahweh, neither understand they his counsels. For he shall gather them as the sheaves into the floor. Arise and thresh, O daughter of Zion, for I will make thee thine horn of iron, and I will make thy hooves of brass, and thou shalt beat into pieces many people. And I will consecrate their gain unto Yahweh, and their substance unto the master of the whole earth. Isaiah 41:15-16. Behold, I will make thee a new sharp threshing instrument having teeth. Thou shalt thresh the mountains and beat them small, and thou shalt make the hills as chaff. Thou shalt fan them, and the wind shall carry them away, and the whirlwind shall scatter them. And thou shalt rejoice in Yahweh, and thou shalt glory in the Holy One of Israel. Revelation 3:7-13. And to the church of the angel in Philadelphia write, These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, and he that hath the key of David, he that openeth, and that no man shutteth, and no man openeth. I know thy works. Behold, I have set before thee an open door, and no man can shut it. For thou hast little strength, and hast kept the word of my patience, and hast not denied my name. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews, but are not and do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon the whole world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast to which thou hast, and let no man take thy crown. To him that overcometh will I make him a pillar of the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my Elohim. And I will write upon him my new name. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. The Church of Philadelphia is speaking about the 144,000, or the rod of iron, that the Messiah will rule and reign with, spoken about in Revelation chapter 1, verse 6. Revelation 1:6. And he hath made us kings and priests unto Yahweh and his Father. To him be the glory and dominion forever and ever. Let it be so. Just as Moses' father-in-law instructed him to appoint holy priests under him, so the Messiah will do with the 144,000, and they will teach the remnant how to return back to the Father's law on the new earth during the 1,000-year millennial reign. Exodus 18:13-23. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from morning unto evening. And Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, and he said, What is this that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou self alone, and all of the people stand by thee from morning until evening? And Moses said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of Yahweh. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one another, and I do make known the statutes of Yahweh and his laws. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, This thing that thou doest is not good. Thou wilt surely wear away, both thou and this people that are with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee, and thou art not able to perform it thyself alone. Hearken unto my voice, and I will give thee counsel, and Yahweh shall be with thee. Be thou for the people towards Yahweh, that thou mayest bring the causes unto Yahweh. And thou shalt teach them the ordinances and laws, and shalt show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Yahweh, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto thee, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. If thou shalt do this thing, and Yahweh command thee so, then thou shalt be able to endure, and all the people shall also go into their places in peace. Now I'm only trying to paint a picture for you here, and I'm giving you bits of scripture, but I strongly urge you to go back and read all of these scriptures in their context, and allow Yahweh to show you the true meaning of prophecy. Revelation 12:7-8. And there was a war in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels, and prevailed not, and neither was there a place found any more in heaven. Once Satan is cast out of heaven and can no longer accuse the brethren, that's when he comes to make war with the remnant of the seed of Jacob. Why, you might ask? Because those of us that have read the prophecies and understood them, we know good and well that Satan is going to make war with those that are keeping the Torah and the Sabbath days and everything else that our Father told us to keep in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Revelation 12:10-12. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before Yahweh day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Revelation 12:13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Now the Messiah made it very clear that there would be wars and rumors of wars, and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, and he warned us that all of these were just the beginning of birth pains. We're seeing a one-world religion being formed right in front of our eyes, and we look at our political leaders not realizing that they're all in on it. You see, Satan is much wiser than we give him credit for. As we read in the book of Daniel, we know that there will be many pawns and many anti-messiahs that will be sent here to the earth, and their whole goal is to destroy our Messiah and his teachings. Ultimately, Satan believes that he's going to have the power to overthrow our Father Yahweh. Is it so hard to believe that when they say peace, peace, and safety, and then sudden destruction comes upon them as a woman in travail? If you just think back 10, maybe 15 years ago, the things that were going on in the White House with our political leaders and all of the charades that have been going on since, it's really not that difficult to put two and two together. But yet, Satan has managed to convince everyone that everything is just a conspiracy theory. The world is a stage, and this is Satan's playground. He is the prince in power of the air, and the world literally is in chaos because of the things that were spoken of by the prophets. But it's hard for us to understand what Satan's overall plan is, and it's to eliminate mankind entirely. Well, if you think of some different ways you can do that, we're watching it happen. We've been watching it happen. If people were truly honest with themselves, really truly dug down deep inside, and they studied the scriptures and they understood prophecy, all of this would be crystal clear. But instead, they get sidetracked by the politics and all of the other stuff that goes on, And not just in life in general, but on our TV, with the media, with the musicians, with the actors. It's always something that Satan is trying to use to keep you distracted from the bigger picture. And if people truly could see the bigger picture, they wouldn't be trying to live with one foot in the world and one foot in the kingdom. Believers should know better. If we truly love Yahweh, then we'll keep His commandments. And if we truly love our Messiah who laid His life down for us, then we ought to be walking as He walked. And in order to have a relationship with our Father, we have to know His Word. How are you supposed to become the Word if you're not willing to study it? Yahweh's chosen people have been asleep for nearly 2,000 years, just as the Messiah prophesied would happen. We are called to put on the full armor of our Father. And if we don't have that armor on, the things that are about to start taking place and the things that we've already witnessed are only going to get worse. And if you don't know the Word, do you truly believe that you have a chance making it through tribulation? Because the church has been teaching us about this rapture, where Yahweh's going to come rescue us out of here with His Son. I got news for you. That's not written anywhere in the prophecies. It's a man-made doctrine. And the reason why people cling to it is because they don't want to know truth, because it scares them. The true believers have woken up, or are still waking up, and they're turning back to the Father's ways. But the ones who still are asleep, they're going to cling to these false doctrines because they believe that that's going to save them somehow from some sort of trouble or catastrophe here on the earth. Well, it's already happening. It's already taking place. And every time I hear someone set a date for these events, they never come to pass. So I would suggest that people truly dig into the scriptures and truly watch what's going on in the world if you want to survive what's coming. Revelation 12:14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and half a times, from the face of the serpent. Isaiah 11:9-12. They shall not hurt nor destroy in my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day, that Yahweh shall set his hand again a second time to recover the remnant of his people which shall be left, from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth. Isaiah 11:13-16. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the west, and they shall spoil them of the east together. And they shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. And with his mighty wind shall shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it into 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left, from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. In verse 16 it said that there would be a highway for the remnant of his people. As you go through scripture and you study the prophecies, make sure you're paying attention to these things, because this highway is the remnant's very refuge, and we're led by 2 very, very interesting men. Isaiah 35:1-10. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly, and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, and the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. And they shall see the glory of Yahweh, and the excellency of our Elohim. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are fearful at heart, Be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Yahweh with recompense, and he will come and save you. Then The eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame leap as a hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those that are wayfaring men, though fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransom of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Once again, we read about a highway, a very particular highway, which is happening during tribulation according to the prophets. So tell me, Christians, why do you guys want to do away with the prophets, the ones that are spoken about in tribulation, like Enoch and Elijah? But the Old Testament's not for us. Good luck with that. Isaiah 40:31. But they that wait upon Yahweh shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles, and they shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not be faint. Enoch and Elijah are the two that are going to wage war with Satan, while the remnant is fleeing back to the promised land. Genesis 5:24. And Enoch walked with Yahweh, and he was not, for Yahweh took him. Hebrews 11:5. By faith Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found because Yahweh had translated him. For before his translation he had this testimony, that he pleased Yahweh. Now, if Enoch is mentioned so little in the Bible and he plays such a significant role, why did they remove his books from the scriptures? 2 Kings 2:11. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder, and Elijah went up in a whirlwind into heaven. So we have two men that were translated that did not taste of death. And does Scripture not say that every man must die the death at least once? So why is it that we make up all of these other stories, that the two witnesses or the church and this and that? Why don't we believe what the Scripture says, what Yahweh told us would happen? Malachi 4:4-6. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly, shall be stubble. And the day cometh that shall burn them up, saith Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. And ye shall tread down the wicked, for they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet. In that day I shall do this, saith Yahweh of hosts. Remember ye the law of Moses my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all of Israel with my statutes and judgment. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming and great and dreadful day of Yahweh. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. Revelation 11:3-8. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before Yahweh of earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire shall proceedeth out of their mouth and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut up heaven, that it rain not in those days of their prophecy. And they have power over waters to turn them into blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Master was crucified. Revelation chapter 12:15-16. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. This flood is the locust army. And if people would bother to study the prophecies and stop saying that the Old Testament isn't for us, then you would be able to read the book of Revelation and know with a surety what it says, because Yahweh revealed the end times through the prophets. Revelation 9:1-3. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, as the smoke of a great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by the reason of the smoke of the pit. And there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given the power, as scorpions of the earth have power. And unto them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented for 5 months, and their torment was as the torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces the faces of men. And they had hair as the hair of women, and their teeth were as the teeth of lions, and they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as the sound of chariots of many horses running into battle. Had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men for 5 months. And they had a king over them, which was the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue he hath his name Apollyon. Amos 7:1-3. Thus hath Yahweh our Elohim showed unto me, and behold, he formed grasshoppers in the beginning, as the shooting up of the latter growth, and lo, it was the latter growth after the king's mowings. And it came to pass that when they had made an ending of the eating of the grass of the land, then I said, O Yahweh, I beseech thee, by whom shall Jacob arise? For he is small. And Yahweh repented for this. It shall not be, saith Yahweh. Isaiah 40:1-8. Comfort ye, my people, saith Yahweh. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem, and cry to her, that her warfare is accomplished, and that her iniquity is pardoned. For she have received of Yahweh's hand double for all of her sins. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of Yahweh. Make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of Yahweh shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see together, for the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken it. The voice said, Cry, and he said, What shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all the goodliness thereof is as the flower of the field. The grass withereth, the flower fadeth, because the Spirit of Yahweh bloweth upon it. Surely the people is grass. The grass withered, the flower fadeth, but the word of our Elohim shall stand forever. Wouldn't it be nice to see the beauty in what this grass represents, because we've taken the time to show ourselves approved and study the Scripture? Everything in Scripture refers to gardening, farming, green grass, gardens, mountaintops. This is all prophetical speech. The angels are likened to stars. We are likened to trees that bear fruit or green grass. So when you read through prophecy, read it with an eye of understanding and with an ear to hear. Daniel 9:26. And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince shall come, and shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and the end of the war desolations are determined. Micah 5:7-15. And the remnant of Jacob shall be in the midst of many people as dew from Yahweh. as the showers upon the grass that tarrieth not for man, nor waiteth for the sons of men. And the remnant of Jacob shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people, as a lion amongst beasts of the forest, as a young lion amongst the flocks of the sheep, who, if he can go through, both tread down and teareth into pieces, and none can deliver. Thine hand shall be lifted up upon thy adversaries, and thy enemies shall be cut off. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, that I will cut off my horses out of the midst of thee, and I will destroy thy chariots. And I will cut off the cities of thy land, and throw down all strongholds. And I will cut off witchcrafts out of thy hand, and thou shalt have no more soothsayers. The graven images also will I cut off, and thy standing images out of the midst of thee, and thou shalt no more worship the work of thy hands. And I will pluck up thy groves out of the midst of thee, so I will destroy thy cities. And I will execute vengeance in anger and fury upon the heathen, such as they have not heard. Joel 2:1-11. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and strong, that hath not been ever like, neither shall there be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. And a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is the appearance of horses and horsemen, so shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains they shall leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained, and their faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march every one in his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another, and shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, and shall run upon the wall, and shall climb up on the horses. They shall enter in the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, and the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For he is strong that executeth his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it? Everything we just read was about the locust army. And the fact that we don't read through prophecy like we're supposed to is the reason why we have so many different interpretations of what Revelation and the time of Jacob's trouble actually looks like. People are so fixed on being raptured out of here, not understanding that we have been divorced and separated from the Father, and if we want to return back to Him, we have to return back to His covenant. This flood of the nations is happening whether you like it or not. We are in the valley of dry bones, and Yahweh is raising us up. And then after that, it boils down to two houses becoming one house again. But in order for that to happen, the end must come. Isaiah 59:16-21. And he saw that there was no man, and he wondered that there was no intercessor. Therefore his arm brought salvation unto him, and his righteousness sustained him. For he put on righteousness, the breastplate, and the helmet of salvation, and upon his head he put on the garments of vengeance for clothing, and he was clad with zeal as a cloak. According to their deeds, accordingly he will repay fury to his adversaries, and recompense to his enemies. To the islands he will repay recompense. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. The Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up the standard against them. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion. And unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh. As for me, This is my covenant with them, saith Yahweh. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth, shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed's seed, saith Yahweh, from henceforth and forever. Revelation 12, verse 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yahweh and have the testimony of Yeshua the Messiah. So we see that the dragon is wroth with the woman. And for what? He's going after those that keep the Torah. You see, the woman that's travailing in pain, she's giving birth to the remnant of the seed of Jacob. And the dragon is wroth with her because Jacob's seed is prophesied to turn back to the Father's commandments. 1 John 5:2-3. By this we know that we love the children of Yahweh, when we love Yahweh and keep his commandments. For this is the love of Yahweh, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. 1 John 2:3-6. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Yahweh perfected. Hereby we know that we are in him. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also to walk, even as he walked. See this same story playing out all throughout the entire Bible. The people just do not want to keep Yahweh's commandments, and even unto this day, they're still fighting it, and they just don't see it. The prophets suffered greatly. So for my brothers and sisters out there that are preaching truth, keep your head held high, and know that Yahweh woke certain people up to turn the hearts of the children back to the Father. One day, we will sit with these great prophets, and they will tell us stories, and we will tell them stories. Exodus 16:28. And Yahweh said unto Moses, How long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? Question: why would believers all throughout the Old Testament be required to keep Yahweh's laws and commandments? Could it be that it keeps the world a much better place, and people don't turn into corruption and give in to money? You see, the Messiah came here to show us what it looked like to walk in the will of his Father. But one thing that he didn't teach was how to be disobedient to his Father's laws and commandments. Matthew 22:34-40. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put some of the Sadducees to silence, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him and questioned, tempting him, and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? And Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all of your heart, and with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two hang all of the law and the prophets. Question: were these new commandments? Matthew 22:37. And Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love Yahweh your Elohim with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your mind. Deuteronomy 6:1-9. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which Yahweh your Elohim commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that thou mightest fear Yahweh your Elohim, and to keep all of his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thou and thy son and thy son's sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days might be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahweh your Elohim of thy fathers has promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh your Elohim is one Elohim. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, all thy soul, and all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk with them when they shall sittest in thine house, and when they shall walkest by the way, and when they shall liest down, and when they shall rise up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates. The Messiah didn't teach anything new. He was teaching us how to walk out his Father's will in the flesh and what that looked like. Did you know that the first 4 commandments are all about loving Yahweh and the last 6 all about loving your neighbor? This is why the Messiah said that all the law and the prophets hung on these 2. Matthew 22:39. And the second is like unto it, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Leviticus 19:18. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh. Matthew 22:40. On these 2 commandments hang all of the law and the prophets. Why would we do away with Yahweh's laws and his prophets that he sent us to show us how to be victorious here on the earth, so that when the tempter comes and does what he does best, death, loss, and destruction, we would be prepared? And how do we fight back? Is it not with the word? Is it not walking as the Messiah walked? We can't just pick and choose what we like about what the Messiah did. Yahweh hears the prayers of true spiritual warriors that know how to battle. Matthew 4:1-10. Then was Yeshua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterwards a-hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said to him, If thou be the Son of Yahweh, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. Then the devil taketh him up to the holy city, and setteth him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said unto him, If thou be the Son of Yahweh, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and they in his hands shall bear thee up, lest at any time you should dash your foot against a stone. And Yeshua said unto him, It is written again, Thou shalt not tempt Yahweh your Elohim. And again the devil taketh him up to an exceedingly high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. And he said unto him, All of these things I will give thee, if you will fall down and worship me. And Yeshua said unto him, Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship Yahweh your Elohim, and him only shall you serve. Ephesians 6:1-9. Children, obey your parents in Yahweh, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and thou mayest live long on the earth. And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nature and admonition of Yahweh. Servants, be obedient to them that are your masters according to the flesh, with fear and trembling, in singleness of your heart, as unto Yeshua. Not with eye service as man-pleasers, but as servants of Yeshua, doing the will of Yahweh from the heart. With good will doing service, as to Yahweh and not to men, knowing that whatsoever good thing any man doeth, the same shall he receive of Yahweh, whether he be bound or free. And ye masters do the same things unto them, forbearing threatening, knowing that your master also in heaven, neither is there a respecter of persons with him. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahweh, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yahweh, that you might be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Therefore take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, that ye might be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about the truth, and having the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh. Praying always, with all power and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with perseverance and supplication for all saints. And for me, that utterance may be given unto me, that I may open my mouth boldly, to make it known the mystery of the gospel. Many call Paul a heretic, not realizing that Paul knew the law and the prophets better than any of us. 2 Corinthians 10:1-6. Now I, Paul, myself, beseech you in the meekness and gentleness of Yeshua, who in presence am base among you, but being absent am bold toward you. But I beseech you, that I may not be bold when I am present with that confidence, wherewith I think to be bold, against someone which think of us as if we walked according to the flesh. For though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty through Yahweh, for pulling down strongholds, casting down imaginations, and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh, and bringing into captivity every thought to obedience of Yeshua, and having in readiness to revenge all disobedience when your obedience is fulfilled. The apostles walked with the Messiah, and the Messiah was teaching them how to be fishers of men. 1 Peter 5:1-8. The elders which are among you I exhort, who I am also an elder and a witness of the sufferings of Yeshua, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of Yahweh which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not by filthy lucre, but for ready of mind, neither as being lords over Yahweh's heritage, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject to one another, and clothed with humility. For Yahweh resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Yahweh, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Jeremiah 31:1-10. At that same time, saith Yahweh, will I be the Elohim of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus saith Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even as Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahweh appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee, and with an everlasting love, therefore with lovingness have I drawn thee. Again I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O Virgin of Israel. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets, and thou shalt go forth in dances of all of them that make merry. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria, and the planters shall plant, and they shall eat them as the common things. For there shall be a day that the watchmen upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion, unto Yahweh our Elohim. For thus saith Yahweh, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Yahweh, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplication will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of the waters, in the straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear ye the word of Yahweh, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off. and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him, as a shepherd doeth his flock. Revelation 21, 1-7. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yahweh out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them, and be their Elohim. And Yahweh shall wipe away all the tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, and neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be pain any more, for the former things have passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, Behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, Write, for these words are true and faithful. And he said unto me, It is done. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. 2 Esdras 2, 42-48. I, Ezra, saw on Mount Zion a great multitude that I could not number, and they were all praising Yahweh with songs. And in their midst was a young man with great stature, taller than any of the others, and on their head each of them he placed a crown. But he was more exalted than they, and I was spellbound. Then I asked an angel, Who are these, my master? And he answered and said to me, These are they who have put off mortal clothing, and have put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of Yahweh. Now they are being crowned and receive palms. Then I said to the angel, Who is that young man who is placing the crowns on them and putting palms in their hands? And he answered and said to me, He is the Son of Yahweh, whom they confessed in the world. So I began to praise those who stood valiantly for the name of the Master. Then the angel said to me, Go tell my people how great and how many are the wonders of Yahweh your Elohim that you have seen. 2 Thessalonians 2:1-12. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Master Yeshua Messiah, and the gathering together unto him, that you be not soon shaken in mind, or troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter, as from us, as the day of our Master Yeshua is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a great falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Yahweh, or that is worshipped, so that he, as Yahweh, sitteth in the temple of Yahweh, showing himself that he is Yahweh. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you I told you these things? And now you know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Master shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all powers and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of righteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Yahweh shall send them a strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they might be damned who believeth not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. But we are bound to give thanks always to Yahweh for you, brethren, beloved of Yeshua, because Yahweh hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, whereunto he called you by our gospel to obtaining of the glory of our Master Yeshua the Messiah. Therefore, brethren, stand fast, and hold the traditions which you have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Now our Master Yeshua, Messiah himself, and Yahweh, even our Father, which hath loved us, hath given us everlasting consolation, and good hope through grace. Comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work.